Hey guys, it's Spike here with Juggalo a Day, and the topic that we're talking about this week is light and dark, and that is the songs and the Juggalo psyche and the way that the light side and the dark side affect us. And so we're supposed to look at songs from each side of, I guess you could say, the Juggalo psyche, which is the darker side and the lighter side, and maybe my interpretation might not be exactly what the person who made the topic intended, but I think that my interpretation only speaks to myself and my view of lightness and darkness. And so evaluating these songs, you can kind of see that in my evaluation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to look at both sides of the psyche the best way that I can, and tell a couple songs from each side, the light and the dark, and maybe you can get a concept of where I'm coming from and help you develop in your understanding of yourself as an individual and as a juggalo. When looking at the dark side of the juggalo's psyche, we have to look into the dark side of our own psyche. And I think that the reason for a lot of this dark music, that we are drawn to is that we've all experienced a certain amount of darkness within our own lives. Now, for different people, it takes forms in different ways. Whether that's isolation, whether that's physical violence and abuse, whether that's, being used sexually, feeling like you don't belong, any of that shit that you might experience, not having what you need, it's all it contributes to our sense of darkness. It contributes to our inner sense of darkness, our sense of loneliness, hopelessness, and the reason I relate it to negativity is not because it's ultimately negative, but because it often stems from negativity. People who have more negativity in their lives are more drawn to the darkness. Now, is the darkness ultimately negative? I don't think so. Darkness represents power in a lot of ways, so the dark is very empowering, and at the same time, the dark is something that represents a void. And so that void could be anything. That void could be a void of, happiness, but it can also be a void of negativity. It could be a void away from negativity. So it's almost a place of safety in some cases. Now, a lot of us are afraid of the dark because it also represents the unknown. We don't know when we're in the dark what's going to happen. And for some people, that's more real than it is for others. But when we evaluate the darker side, we have to look to why are we drawn to this darkness? Why this rather than fluffy, happy stuff? And when I look into darkness, I can't help but think of the song Darkness by Twisted, because that's a song that speaks to me, feeling darkness, feeling like life is a waste, feeling like you're always stuck in a state of darkness. And I think that that's something that a lot of us can relate to. And I also have to think of songs like Cold, Cruel World, and if you look at any album, it'd be Hell's Pit. Though that doesn't as much speak to us as juggalos and our darkness, I think that it speaks in general to darkness itself and our experience of darkness as juggalos and as people. So I really feel as though when we look at some of these songs that are darker, we activate that side of our psyche where we understand things from a darker perspective. And that's not to say a more negative perspective in all cases, that's to say a darker perspective. And so when we come to terms and actually understand our darker side, we actually gain a better understanding of self. And that's why we're drawn to the Dark Carnival, is because with that understanding of that side of ourselves, we understand ourselves so much better from that. And so I think that when we deny it or accept it into our lives, we're drawn together from it. And so I think that darkness is something that some of us feel safe in, some of us feel afraid in, to some people it might be comforting. And I can be one of those. When I'm upset, I want to just lay in the dark. Because that's more comfortable for me, to just lay in the dark rather than be in the light, rather than having to experience all around me. I want to, rest. Darkness is rest. And so I think it's portrayed more negatively sometimes, but when we understand rest, and when we understand the sides of ourselves that we not exactly show to others, that we don't exactly, that most people will think is negative, but when we open up to that side of ourselves, we gain a better understanding. So that's my thoughts on the whole darkness thing. As for the lighter side of the dark carnival and of our psyche, I have to look at the song. I have to look at the song "Walk Into the Light" by Insane Clown Posse, of course. And the reason that I look at "Walk Into the Light" is because "Walk Into the Light" is about the positivity, and I think the whole album of the Wraith, Shhhh, is about the lighter side of the dark carnival and of our psyche as juggalos. And I think what it is it's all leading up to that. It's all leading up to Shhhh. It's all leading up. Now, the light has been in every album. The more positive side of our psyche has been present in every album. Let's take Great Malenko, Down with the Clown. I think that that's a more positive song. And I mean, I can't speak for every album, but I'm just saying that it seems to me like there's an element of that. Whether it's more spelled out or not in every album. But Shhhh spells out the light, man. It spells it out. It's where we're ultimately being led to, is the light. And we can interpret that as we will. I think that it's an embracing of the lighter side of ourselves, because a lot of us come from the darkness. We come from a place of darkness, and you need to have a balance in your life of darkness and light. Darkness isn't necessarily negative, but we need that balance of darkness and light. And so they've included a little bit of that on every album, and then they showed us Shhhh. They showed us the light. And what we do with that, we can do with it whatever we want. But the light is there, and that's the important part, is that the light side of our psyche is there. And when they talk about leading us to the light, that can mean a lot of different things. That means embracing the light side of our psyche, but I think it means surrounding ourselves with positivity. There we see the light as represented by positivity. We are surrounded by positive thinking, positive ways of seeing things. Rather than living in ultimately darkness and nothing more, we are able to perceive light. We're able to see light all around us. We're able to live and envision this world of light. And for us, that world of light comes through the dark carnival. That comes through. The light comes out of the darkness. Because what is darkness but an absence of light? And when the light comes from that, you know, it's really a miracle. Excuse my language. It really is a miracle. The family is light coming out of the darkness. The Juggalo family as to what it should be. And you know, I think that's why we need to get back to this whole Shhhh era. We need to show love. We need to be all about family and togetherness and expressing light through the dark carnival, through the darkness that we live in. Share the light, my friends. Embrace the darkness, but embrace the light. That's all I got to say about that. You know, I just really love this family. I love the Juggalo family. And I just want to say, you know, walk into the light. Shit, you know? When I think of the light, think of walking into the light. Think of moving towards positivity as people and as a family. And, you know, when we're gone, we'll have that positive influence on this world. And I think that's what's important here. So I hope I did this topic right. It's Spike here. Peace out. Much family love. Woo woo!